44, Xabi Alonso just revealed the 5 players who betrayed him at Real Madrid, and the truth will shock you. From dressing room drama to shattered authority, this story exposes the dark side of Los Blancos, a world where talent alone isn't enough, and even the best coaches can be undermined from within. Players resisting tactics, subtle conflicts in training, and boardroom indecision all set the stage for a fall from grace that stunned the football world. But who are these 5 players, and what did they actually do? We'll reveal every detail. Xabi Alonso's time at Real Madrid lasted just 7 months. High expectations met a short leash, a brief window to prove himself at one of the world's most demanding clubs. But this wasn't just about tactics or results. Alonso stepped into a squad of egos, a dressing room fractured by star dominance, spoiled talent, and internal politics. He didn't inherit a team ready to follow him. He inherited a battlefield. The subtle tensions were everywhere. Disputes over substitutions, selective effort in training, resistance to his tactical ideas. Even small disagreements became magnified in a squad used to more freedom than discipline. And the shocking truth, Alonso didn't fail alone. Someone inside the squad made sure of that. Player number 1, Vinícius Júnior. The first player Alonso revealed as betraying him was none other than Vinícius Júnior. Tensions came to a head during El Clásico when Vinícius visibly reacted angrily to being substituted. Walking straight down the tunnel, a moment captured on cameras that fans and pundits would dissect for weeks. While he later apologized publicly to the fans, teammates, and the club, he conspicuously left Alonso out of his statement, sending a clear message about where the real loyalty lay. Off the pitch, whispers suggested Vinícius even hinted at not renewing his contract if his relationship with Alonso didn't improve. This wasn't an isolated incident. Small disagreements over training intensity, tactical instructions, and team discipline slowly chipped away at Alonso's authority. What should have been a smooth, tactical-led environment became a dressing room divided, place where star power often trumped the coach's word. Alonso tried to impose structure, but the message was clear. Discipline had limits when it clashed with player egos. But Vinícius wasn't the only star causing chaos. The next player changed the dynamic completely. Player number 2, Jude Bellingham. Next on Alonso's list is Jude Bellingham, a player of immense talent, influence, and expectations of autonomy within the squad. While publicly Bellingham denied any friction, insiders suggest that small disagreements occasionally escalated behind the scenes. Tactical resistance, selective effort in certain sessions, and subtle pushback in decision-making created challenges for Alonso's authority. Even the tactical system sometimes had to be adjusted around him, highlighting how star power began shaping coaching decisions rather than the other way around. Alonso wanted collective discipline, but Bellingham's influence and autonomy expectations tested that philosophy. To the outside world, it looked like support. Behind the doors, some moments hinted at tension. Not dramatic outbursts, but quiet resistance that chipped away at the coach's control. Bellingham's subtle pushback was just the tip of the iceberg. The next player would push the squad into open conflict. Player number 3, Federico Valverde. Federico Valverde was next on Alonso's list. A player whose talent is undeniable, but whose presence in the dressing room reportedly created new tension. Insiders suggest Valverde occasionally challenged Alonso's strictness, questioning positional changes and tactical demands. When asked to play out of position, he hesitated, and in some matches, his reluctance to fully adapt reportedly strained team cohesion. This was more than just football. It was a clash between tactical discipline and star freedom. Alonso wanted structure, balance, and adherence to his system. Valverde, like some of his teammates, expected autonomy and influence, creating a subtle but powerful divide. What started as small disagreements soon eroded the collective mentality Alonso was trying to build. With Vinícius Júnior, Bellingham, and now Valverde at odds, Alonso's battle was becoming impossible. With 3 stars now at odds with him, Alonso's battle was getting impossible, and the next player would push the tension to the brink. Player number 4, Rodrygo. Rodrygo was another star Alonso pointed to, a player whose brilliance on the pitch couldn't mask the underlying friction off it. Reports suggest that Rodrygo occasionally resisted Alonso's tactical instructions, showing selective commitment depending on his role or match situation. Being benched in key games only amplified tensions, and small acts, hesitations in pressing, delayed runs, subtle disagreements in positioning, multiplied to weaken the team's collective strategy. While public Publicly, Rodrygo often celebrated victories and praised the coach. Insiders hint that private frustration simmered, quietly adding to the division in the dressing room. The contrast between his public support and private friction kept Alonso walking a tightrope of authority. 4 players actively creating friction, but the 5th shocked even Alonso. Player number 5, Kylian Mbappé. The final player Alonso revealed was none other than Kylian Mbappé, a superstar whose influence over the squad is as massive as his skill on the pitch. Even someone of Mbappe's talent wasn't immune to friction with the coach. Subtle tensions arose over training methods, tactical positioning, and match responsibilities. While publicly he praised Alonso, insiders suggest his preferences sometimes challenged the coach's authority, creating moments of quiet resistance. The challenge wasn't blatant disobedience, it was more dangerous. A superstar subtly shaping the team's mentality, signaling to others what could be tolerated and what couldn't. The effect on Alonso was clear. Even a small pushback from Mbappé shifted the balance of power in the dressing room. With all 5 aligned against him in different ways, Alonso's position became untenable, and the end of his Real Madrid tenure was inevitable. The 5 players Alonso named were more than individual challenges. They symbolized a broader problem at Real Madrid. This was a squad where star power often outweighed the coach's authority, and the culture encouraged selective commitment and resistance to tactical discipline. Inside the dressing room, high-profile egos dominated conversations, decisions, and even media narratives. Every tactical adjustment, substitution, or training demand was filtered through layers of expectation and influence from these stars. The result? A toxic environment where accountability was optional and collective play took a back seat to personal priorities. The board, led by Florentino Pérez, often sided with players, empowering them to challenge coaches and prioritize comfort over structure. Even the media scrutiny amplified tensions, highlighting any cracks Alonso faced and framing them as failures rather than symptoms of a deeper issue. Alonso didn't come to manage egos, he came to coach football. But at Real Madrid, the two were inseparable. Xabi Alonso came to Real Madrid with a clear vision, structure, pressing, and disciplined football. He wanted a team that controlled space, pressed intelligently, and played as a cohesive unit. On paper, the strategy was sound. On the pitch, however, it quickly collided with reality. The players Alonso inherited weren't just talented, they were accustomed to flexibility, freedom, and star treatment. Subtle resistance appeared everywhere. A delayed press here, a missed positional adjustment there. At times, the opposition's weaknesses were ignored because players selectively committed. Small acts of defiance, repeated over weeks, undermined Alonso's authority and disrupted tactical cohesion. Even when Alonso's instructions were executed, the energy and focus required for his system were inconsistent, forcing him to adapt constantly. Analysts point out that his failures weren't purely tactical, they were social and psychological, battling a dressing room that subtly and overtly challenged him at every turn. Even brilliant coaching couldn't survive the internal war, and the cracks in Real Madrid's walls were widening. As results tightened and pressure mounted, the narrative around Xabi Alonso began to shift. Every dropped point became a headline. Every tactical tweak was framed as uncertainty. Behind the scenes, the board hesitated, players sensed instability, and confidence inside the squad eroded even further. Publicly, the story was simple. Results weren't good enough. Privately, it was far more complicated. Reports described dressing room resistance, fractured trust, and a coach fighting fires instead of building football. Yet when the losses came, especially against elite rivals, the blame fell almost entirely on Alonso. After the Super Cup defeat to Barcelona, the decision was made. 7 months, that was all. A talented coach, removed before his ideas had time to take root, undermined not by incompetence, but by an environment stacked against him. The players moved on, the board reset, and Alonso walked away carrying the weight of a failure that many believe was never truly his. So was Xabi Alonso really at fault, or was the system rigged against him from day one? So here's the truth. The betrayal Xabi Alonso faced was real, but it wasn't just about 5 players. It was structural, a club where individual power outweighs collective responsibility, where coaches are temporary and egos are permanent. Alonso wasn't perfect, no coach is, but he wasn't defeated by tactics, formations, or football knowledge. He was defeated by a circus of egos, protected, empowered, and untouchable. And until Real Madrid changes that reality, it won't matter who stands on the touchline next. Now it's your turn. Comment below. Do you blame the players, the coach, or the club itself? Like this video if you believe Alonso deserved more time, and subscribe, because the truth behind football's biggest clubs is far darker than the scoreline.